Kush and Chemtrails, the world's most dangerous podcast.
Hey, you guys, trip on this.
Please
Trip,
do.
trip, trip.
Have you heard of the mysterious hexagon on Saturn, bro? We've talked about Saturn. You guys, Christmas, December 25th. That's really Saturnalia. Look that up.
Fuck.
Saturnalia. 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 Now, basically, the North Pole and the South Pole have different shapes. The North Pole has a hexagon, brother, of Saturn. Okay, and we've talked about how important this planet is to certain members of the elite, mainly the the Cult of Saturn. Mm-hmm. There'd be no Cult of Saturn without Saturn, dude.
Right.
So, check this out. That's the hexagon. Now look at this one with the peace sign in it, bro. How weird is that? But here's it is. There's a couple more here. Let's see.
This is that show you were showing me the other day, huh?
Did I do something?
No, I'll give it a minute. What's going on? Did
Press
you
that,
see
yeah. Or is it in the notepad?
Down at the bottom.
Down at the bottom, all the way to the right.
Yeah, that was weird.
No big deal. I'm just gonna have to look it up again.
I thought it was in the notepad. Ow, bitch.
Nah, it's on his Google Docs.
Oh.
What a shame.
What a shame.
There's never a dull moment because we got Decide to pick us up when we drop the ball like that. And sorry, that was the computer. For some reason, it just crashed. You guys know how this technology is. We're trying to get the people what they want. Google. Google lied to you is what Kanye said.
What is it that they want?
The people?
All right, here we go.
They don't even know they need it, but we give them what they need, actually.
That is crazy. Supply and demand.
All right, so
We're there for it.
turn that down a little bit, bro. And then, obviously, you know how these are touched up.
Right. Well, yeah, look at it.
You don't think a telescope can take that picture, bro?
I would love to see it.
Why you gotta hate on
Why,
the telescope?
why they got a CGI?
Why you gotta hate on the telescope?
I'm not hating.
There's another CGI one, but that's the center of it.
Scary. That looks scary. You didn't think that looked scary?
There's
bro?
another one of it right there.
Just thinking about it is scary, bro. A hexagon-shaped storm?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You know how strong that motherfucker probably is? Look at all
That's
the support.
that's the basic gist of it right there.
Look at all the support it's got from all
Like a
sides.
tornado.
But it's in a hexagon. It's in a hexagon.
So
bro.
what's interesting was I was like, well, what about the South Pole? Right? So the North Pole is a hexagon. Here's the South Pole, bro. Trip on this. Both of those are storms, by the way. And the hexagon is formed because, look at that.
Oh, fuck me.
Crazy, right? An eye.
Yeah.
Perfect eye. And that's the South Pole.
It looks like the CBS logo for CBS News, my guy.
Yeah. So this is basically just more images of the eye.
Shout out to Burning Rose Studios. You gonna have Steve put these
And-
pictures in there?
Yeah. Yeah, I can send Steve
Couple
these
of 'em.
pictures. Yeah, I'll have him put them in. So you guys can see them at home. But you see how this color now? It's like an amber color. Mm-hmm. Down here now it's red. Mm-hmm. It changed color over the last 5 years. You guys can look up the different poles and why that happened, but let's see. This thing's getting a little weird over here.
That's just
You know
some
what we
weird
need?
shit,
We need a
period.
mouse pad. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So what's interesting though with the shapes is they follow whatever we were talking about water. How water follows the path of least resistance. Well, it's the same with shapes. And that's why you get shapes like that, right? Now there's different reasons why the elite have chosen that, and we'll get into that. But what's interesting is because the forces one section of the storm is going clockwise and the other is going counterclockwise. So the only possible shape it can make, the most comfortable shape, right, is that hexagon. Does that it makes sense, right? You understand what I'm saying? So I found this video on Instagram that explains it. Check it out. This is dope. Turn that down a little bit, bud. Thanks, brother.
Is this actual video or
Nah, watch this.
recreated?
This is really cool. Yeah, this is actual video.
Yeah, I watched this one. I think you sent it to me.
So when you've got just one bubble, the sphere is the most efficient shape. But as we add more bubbles, we see the geometry changing. So in this case, we've got 4 bubbles, and you can see them meeting at a point. But put a shape in the middle, we don't get a spherical bubble.
He'll add
Yeah, in
smoke in
fact,
that so you could see the shape.
Tetrahedron. 4 faces, they're not exactly flat, they're parts of spheres. But each time the bubbles are trying to find the most efficient shape.
So basically what's happening is every time they added another sphere, another circle, the inside of the shape, as they add more and more, the most comfortable shape that it can take place, right? Because it's the geometry of the universe is then they get the four-sided pyramid, what's it called? I was talking about where Hebrew can be shined through the I can't think of the name right now.
Hexagon or some shit.
Nah, it's not that, but it's something similar. Yeah, I can't
None
think
of
of
those
the name.
right there. The 5 platonic solids.
Yeah, it's a tetrahedron. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's that one right there. Yeah, the tetrahedron. So that's the first one. So, anyways, as they add more, then these different shapes begin to appear.
Right. The arrangement of bubbles.
Now there's a
Now
cube.
got 6 bubbles.
See the cube in the middle?
Cube appearing.
And that's just from adding more spheres to it.
This is nature's laws at work. The universe is always trying to find the most efficient solution it can. And as we pop them, bubbles change, finding the most efficient to a
Boom.
sphere again.
And that's the middle shape. Now it's a sphere again because that's the most simple shape for it to take place. Now when they add 12 spheres, it's a dodecahedron.
Shapes.
Looks like witchcraft.
Look in the middle.
Wow.
Dope.
That's a dodecahedron. That's fantastic. And they're almost perfect pentagons, aren't they? That's
Witchcraft,
surprising.
for
Not
sure.
bulging really very much at all.
For sure.
So 12 bubbles.
So basically, my point of showing that video is what I was saying about how the shape of the storm, the direction of the storm is causing those two shapes, right? Okay, now when you move that to the Cult of Saturn, right? And we've talked about the Cult of Saturn on here. People might say, what is the Cult of Saturn? The Cult of Saturn has to do with all these different things. And here's your 6-sided polygon, right? Just like what we saw there. Here's Metatron's cube.
Megatron.
Here's cube worship in the Kaaba, which is interesting because if you mix Kaaba with Allah, you get Kaballah.
Right.
Sounds like a food.
So
Delicious.
as you mix all that, as you see all that, you see the reason for that type of cult worship.
Mm-hmm.
You see why they revere that planet. And I'll add that slide. We'll have Steve show that in there. And Moloch is the name or term which appears in the Hebrew Bible several times, primarily in the book of Leviticus. Moloch has been understood as referring to a Canaanite god. He, let's see right here. Since the medieval period, Moloch has often been portrayed as a bull-headed idol with outstretched hands over a fire. This depiction takes the brief mentions of Moloch in the Bible and combines them with various sources, including ancient accounts of Carthaginian child sacrifice and the legend of the Minotaur.
That thing looks very satanic,
Yeah.
just in itself.
So that's
Children
part of the Moloch is
sacrifices.
part of the Cult of Saturn. That's their chief deity. You guys can look this up for yourself. And the Star of David, right, that they call it, that the Jews adopted, the World Zionist Organization, you guys could look this up. They adopted that in 1897. Prior to that, that was never used to represent Judaism. But what's interesting is that's actually not the Star of David. In the Bible, it's called the Star of Rimpan. I'm going to pull that up right here. And Rimpan is a figure described in Acts 7:43, the King James Version of the Bible. The relevant verse reads, "And you took up the tent of Moloch and the star of the god Rimpan, the figures which you made to worship, and I will remove you beyond Babylon." So you see how this all ties in together?
Right.
With the cult worship. And here's the Star of Rimpan, right? What is the Star of Rimpan? Boom. When you look it up, right? It comes up as the Star of David. You can do that for yourself. And I went on here on a BitChute, and this had this, bro, which was really interesting. And I want to break this down for you. And I need you to follow me, brother. Okay. Remember I told you that Ashkenazi is not that Nazi rather is not, it was never a term that the Germans used for themselves. Mm-hmm. And I was always trying to break it down like, okay, where did that come from? And I always thought it was weird that Ashkenazi ends with Nazi, right? Mm-hmm. So if you break those that word down itself, ash is a representative of grief. Mm-hmm. When people put ash on themselves, it represents grief. Ka, obviously kinetic energy, right? That's what Ke is. And then Nazi would be intolerant, right? And if you look, if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, this is in Genesis 4:24. If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold, right? 777. So if you go up here, you see the sevens, right? Mm-hmm. So if you break apart the swastika, I always wondered, why did they invert the swastika? I always tried to figure it out. I thought maybe it had something to do with Satanism or something like that. But if you break that apart and you see those sevens, right? Okay, those figures in Hebrew, that's a 6. So if you have 6s right there, that's 24. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. 6, 6, 6, 6. Okay, that's 24. Okay? So how would you get that? A tetrahedron has 4 sides. If you have 6 of them, you now have the Star of David. Right? Mm. And what is that piece in the middle? You see this piece right here? Mm-hmm. of the right there? That? Mm-hmm. There it is right there. That is the cube that fits inside there. You can look this up for yourself, you guys. Cubes fit in the middle of hexagons. Right? It's part of sacred geometry. It's Metatron's cube. So you see what I'm doing there? I just broke down the swastika and why they inverted it and why they would use it. Those are Hebrew, that's the Hebrew 6 right there. So, an interesting correlation with that is the Twin Towers. Since, we recorded, the last episode, one of the last 2 episodes came out on 9/11. And we didn't get to this. But what's interesting is if associated with the revenge of Lamech, right? If you get 7, so then this resonates as 7 and 11 because 77 becomes Lamech's revenge. Remember up here it said Lamech, his revenge was 70 and sevenfold? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we're looking at 77. So then we got 7, 11, 77. Okay, now, second plane hit the 77th floor of the South Tower. That's a fact. You can look that up. I did. Overlooking events of the 9/11 Statue of Liberty, or overlooking the events of 9/11 was the Statue of Liberty, which stands on an 11-pointed star pedestal while wearing a 7-pointed crown. 77. The 9/11 memorial contains 88 spotlights. 8 plus 8 is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. So there it is, all right there, broken down. Shout out to 9/11.
What?
Hopefully everyone's following along. And then if you want to see that, you got this. There's your Hebrew 6. You see that right there? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a Hebrew 6. You guys, let me see right here. Yeah, this is it right here. It's called Vav. That's the one right there. And also that's the energy monster, the Monster energy drink. They got 3 M's in that shape. 666. Mm-hmm. which means nothing to me, but it does mean something to some people.
You love it.
Now, the Skull and Bones, their order is 3-2-2. 3 plus 2 is 5 plus 2 is 7. So there's again 7 correlation. There's the tetrahedron that I was talking about earlier, right? That we had 6 of them, and we get the hexagon, and then here's the cube in the middle. Boom. You see how the cube goes with the hexagon?
Yep.
So I just broke down the swastika and why it would represent that, as opposed to what they've said it represents. Ash. It was meant to remind the person grieving of the pain of what they were feeling. Ashes represented desolation and ruin. Jewish people would roll around in ashes, wallow in them, and cover their heads with them. It was an appropriate symbol of the humility and depression that accompanied grief and distress.
I feel like we're in school right now.
KE, kinetic energy, the energy of motion. And we all know Nazi, right? Means intolerant. But here's a fact. That Nazi is a derogatory term, and they did not like to be called Nazis, bro.
It's like us, shit. We ain't want to be called niggas. Now we use it and turn them with them. You feel
Yeah, but Nazi was a derogatory term for backwards peasant, being a shortened version of Ignatius, a common name in Bavaria, the area from which the Nazis emerged. Adolf Hitler did not like being called a Nazi. Opponents seized on this and shortened the party's title to the dismissive Nazi. Right? So this all has to do with, this is in the book of Genesis. This has to do with Lamech. You guys can look that up yourself. But this is what's interesting right here. The plane hit the 77th floor. Let me find it. Was it this one? Anyways, you guys could look it up. You'll find it. It was 77 through 85. Here's the 11-pointed stars, 7-pointed crown, the memorial lights. Here's everything broken down. Now, what's interesting is Jupiter.
Is in retrograde.
Nope, it is not. But Jupiter also has a hexagon. And obviously this has been CGI'd, but there's these spheres with one in the middle. And in mythology,
Shit looks terrifying. To be honest with you.
Saturn is the father of Jupiter.
Yeah.
Right? According to Roman mythology, Jupiter's father is Saturn is Jupiter's father. So Saturn has the big hexagon, right? It's huge. Each one of those sides of that hexagon is 2,000 miles bigger than Earth. So you could put an Earth in each one of those, just in that opening. So that's the big one. And then Jupiter has one as well. So that would make sense why they would say, okay, this is its sun, because it has a smaller hexagon as well. So that's just a little something I put together for us, man, for this one. Because we've talked about the Cult of Saturn. And while we're on the subject, in case people are like, hey, how do we know that's real? Give me a second. I'll show you right now.
How do we know it's real? Show us. Show us, Father.
Got it, buddy.
We didn't do a mental check-in. How's everybody's mental health doing, man? Everybody good?
Sensational. My mental is doing absolute numbers.
Good to hear that, man.
Of course.
I'll just show you right here, guys. This is the Cult of Saturn. This is their spell book right here. It also has their history doctrine.
Witchcraft.
But yeah, this is also their spell book. And I have that. You can't have a spell book if there's no Cult of Saturn.
And witches.
So in case you didn't hear that, what I was saying was, this is the Cult of Saturn spellbook. It's Fraternitas, I believe I'm saying that correctly. Looks Greek, Saturni, or it might be Latin. History, Doctrine, and Rituals of the Magical Order of the Brotherhood of Saturn. This is written by Stephen Flowers, PhD, and this has rituals and everything in there. You guys check this out. Fantastic read.
Kush and Chemtrails, the world's most dangerous podcast.